All right, everybody, welcome back to the Greens Experience. Today's episode will be all about our
Regrets. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I want to call them regret. Well, no, we'll call them what it is.
Yeah.
Regrets. That's what this video is about. Things that if we can do differently, we would.
Right.
Things that we weren't aware of at the time when we were picking selections. Maybe perhaps we could have pressed the issue to know our options a little more. But overall, we want to share with you things that we would change if we could. So
Maybe
that
could we call it hindsight?
we could call it hindsight. Yeah. Really, what we want to do is just share with you things we would change if we could.
Right.
So that if you ever decide to do a semi-custom home, right, or even a custom home, or even if you're looking for a pre-existing home that's already built, but some options that you might want to consider. Okay?
It's a point of reference for everybody. So after the intro, we'll get into the regret/hindsight
video. Yes.
Episode.
Here we go. Episode.
So here we are again, regrets, hindsight, whatever you want to call it, going through the semi-custom build process. There are going to be things that you might overlook. Mm-hmm. There are going to be things that that you just you come across throughout the process that maybe you weren't aware or expecting that you would have to deal with these certain things. So we got a little list.
Yes, we have a list.
We're going to start on our list and then kind of just go down our list based on the things that we dealt with, and hopefully from what we dealt with and what your list will be, you can avoid some of these things.
Yes. And our list is in no particular order. Right. It's just from top of mind, some things that we've made note of. Okay. Right. So in talking about some of our regrets, or things we would change, now we listed building a relationship with your construction manager. Yeah. Now, if you decide to do a semi-custom home like we did, mm-hmm, you want to make sure that you have the opportunity to meet with your construction manager in the beginning. Yes. For our particular builder, the construction manager likes to have limited...
they have some restrictions.
Yeah, some restrictions, limited interaction with the buyer. But in the end, once we met the construction manager, like he was cool, he had no problem working with us. I think though, in the beginning, if we would have established that relationship, especially when we were in the process of picking our options, it probably would have worked out better for us. And the reason why I say that is because when we were selecting our options, the sales agent that we have, that we had in the beginning, I should say, was not really knowledgeable as far as of what the construction manager's capabilities were.
I don't think she really had a background in construction overall. I don't know. She didn't mention anything to us about being an agent. The second sales manager sales rep that we wound up having, he wound up having a history in real estate.
Yes, so he had experience.
Right, so that made a world of difference towards the end of our build with the things that we were getting from communication with him. And then he was able to relay that to the building manager a lot better. And I think his communication with the building manager really helped us close our build out stronger, considering some of the obstacles that we had in some of the other areas that we're going to talk about.
Yes. So with having a relationship with the construction manager, I think for us, when we were in the beginning picking some of our options, there were certain things that we had questions about that we probably would have selected, but because of the limited knowledge that the sales agent had at the time, the first sales agent that we had, we missed out on having those things.
Yeah.
Because instead of that sales agent looking to see if those options were available or if we could even, get them, she just outright was like, no.
Right.
And so,
and I think that was because her knowledge of
she wasn't knowledgeable.
Process,
like she didn't
and the
have
capability,
knowledge.
like she didn't really realize the full capability of the builders. Workers,
capabilities.
The capability. She just didn't realize that certain things could be done within the parameters of what they offer in a standard or base product.
Yes, and so you're probably wondering, well, like, give us examples. So, when we say understanding our options, one of the things that I can speak for myself that has been kind of frustrating is there are some things that we are watching being built with other homes around us that we were never even given the opportunity to know that was an option for us. Yeah. So, for example, high ceiling windows.
Right.
So,
I don't know which one you're going to go with.
So when we had picked our model and our floor plan, we were not told that we could have upgraded and had floor to ceiling windows.
Let me jump in real quick because if I want to give you a backstory a little bit. So we walked our floor plan in a different community. And when we walked the other community, we saw these windows, which was like a third row of windows above the 2 rows of windows that we currently have.
And we're talking about in regards to like our family room area. So you walk into our home and you look straight back, our family room area where the ceiling is at its highest point.
Right. So in seeing those windows, we fell in love with the idea, like, man, it would be nice if we could have those windows in our location.
In our home.
And so we weren't made aware that we actually could.
Yes, to our surprise.
And there was also another home that ordered those windows, and the sales rep that the first one that we had, there was a mishap with that where she didn't even put the paperwork in for them to get it. So they even went the extra mile to tear out the work and then put it in. So we have ample opportunity to get those windows. She had ample opportunity to tell us, hey, you know what? I offered this to this family and you didn't ask me about it and I didn't tell you about it. You could get these windows. Yes. So when she says frustration, I believe she's kind of...
Yeah, because it's like we're watching other homes being built around us and they're getting these floor to ceiling windows. And I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, I feel like what we have is amazing in and of itself, so I'm not complaining. But it would have been nice to have that option because, to be honest with you, we probably would have upgraded. I love the look of it, the floor to ceiling windows. It just gives a grander look, even grander than what we currently have. So
then functionality wise, right? If we would have got the extra row of windows, we could have optioned for the covered patio. And so one of the reasons why we didn't option for the covered patio is because the natural light would be blocked off. So we were like, you know what? We'll just get flat work and then we'll have a solution, which is a retractable awning that we'll get to cover our flat work so we can open and close or cover and retract the awning so that it wouldn't block our natural light whenever we weren't outside on the patio. So with that third row, you get the first 2 rows of windows, and then you get a row above your covered awning, your covered patio, which also allows that light to come in. And then, as far as the ceiling, it would have took the ceiling up another maybe 10 to 15 feet. And then from our catwalk area, it would have just been this bomb out, this overlook that would have really set the spot, the space off more than it already has with the natural light that it has now. Not taking away from what we have, but it just would have been nice to have that as an option.
Yes. Yeah. So another option that would have been nice to have, and we've talked about this in our previous videos, is our primary bathroom.
Even the empty house tour.
Yes, we talked about.
So you can go back and look at that if you want to hear a lot about, well, not a lot, but some of real time idea of what
we're talking about. Right. Yes. So our primary bathroom. So we pretty much have a standard primary bathroom because we were not given the opportunity to have the type of bathroom that we wanted. And for some people that probably would have been a deal breaker, but for us, we were just like, you know what, it's okay. Later on down the line, we'll tear it out, and we'll get the bathroom that we actually want. So that's why we kept everything standard.
And I think too, when we found out about this builder, we had the opportunity to tour a house that had been renovated. So a new build that had been renovated, to add some of these final touches to our primary bathroom that we're kind of thinking about. So we already kind of had an idea that, you know what, it wouldn't be the worst case scenario if we had to do it ourselves. However, getting it builder grade would have just been like, you know what, we don't have to worry about tearing nothing out, uprooting ourselves out of our primary bathroom in order to get this stuff done.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, for instance, if you've watched our empty house tour and you look at our primary bathroom, we have a Superman tub.
Yeah.
Listen, if that's not the most old school looking bathtub, but you know what? It is what it is, because it's coming out. Right. But if we were in the beginning told all of our options, that tub would not be in there. I personally didn't even want a bathtub in a primary bathroom. I wanted just an extended shower with dual shower heads, plus a range shower head as well. And I just kind of envisioned like this frameless shower, large bench in the shower, the whole nine. And when we had mentioned that, our original first sales agent, because she wasn't aware, was just like, that's not an option.
If you remember, we kind of toiled over that idea, and she couldn't visualize how it was possible. There's a window in our bathroom, and there's certain things in the standard layout that I guess kind of stumped her on how we would orientate certain things. However, it really was it should have been in her mind to reach out to the building manager to find out, like, hey, how can we do this? What concessions do we have, or what things can we do with this space? The Greens want to jazz it up this way or that way. And she just was very reluctant. And as a point of her reluctancy, we kind of just was like, you know what, we'll just keep it standard, and we'll deal with that on our own time. Yes. And then also, it was spoken to us that it would be kind of cheaper to do it after.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, I think what's most important to note is that as a buyer, this is your home.
Right.
And so there were times, in all honesty, where we should have just said, you know what, no, this is what we want. Yeah. And not compromise on what it was that we actually wanted. And the bathroom was one of them. Yeah. We could have gotten the bathroom that we wanted. Yeah. We could have definitely gotten instead of having a Superman tub, we could have gotten a standalone tub, which we were originally told was not even an option, but it's an option. So it's a lot that we're learning, or that we've learned throughout this process, that we could have, even when we had our red line meeting, that was an opportunity where we could have gone back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we want to incorporate these things. So we need the plans to be changed and these changes to be implemented into the plans. Yes, we could have done that, but we didn't do that. And so, and that's not because we just chose not to do it. It's because we didn't know we could. Right. So we're sharing this with you to let you know that if it's something that you really, really want, just continue to inquire. If you need to go above your sales agent and talk to the construction manager or whoever it may be that you need to speak to, do that. Because at the end of the day, this is your home, and you want it to be the way you envision it to be. Right. You're the one that you have to live in it. Right. So that's another example, is the bathroom. And then let's see here. So I think that is really, when it comes to building the relationship with the construction manager, and how important it is to have that relationship, because the construction manager made us aware several times that some of the options that we wanted, we could have had. And had we spoken to him in the beginning, instead of just relying on the sales agent to do that for us, he would have let us know that, yes, you can have these options. We're doing this in other homes, and it wouldn't have been a problem, and we would have had the things that we wanted. So definitely see if you can have an opportunity before you finish picking your options to be able to speak to the construction manager and clearly understand what that construction manager's capabilities are. And not only that, but I would say even in talking to the construction manager, understand how many years they've been in the business. Like, it's important to know. They're building your home. They're not building your home, but they're putting together the team, and they're giving the direction to the team of builders. So you want to make sure that they're knowledgeable as well.
Yeah, you definitely want to vet everybody in the process.
Yes.
If you're sitting down with your sales rep, how long have you been a sales rep? How many homes have you been a part of planning? And you know what I mean? Just some simple questions to kind of help you gauge their expertise or their know-how, because when it comes down to it, like she said, this is your home, and you want to make sure that you're getting the best product that they can offer you. And usually, in that situation, you'll come out better than not.
Yes, yes. So next would be realtor. So
you can go.
I will say this, okay? Choosing to have a realtor is something that it depends on your situation.
Right.
So some people feel like for a semi-custom home, you don't have to have a realtor.
Right.
Obviously, with a custom home, you don't have to have a realtor.
Right.
You don't. We elected to hire a realtor because we felt that realtor would be the middle person between the sales rep and I, and we needed someone that was there.
Boots on the ground.
Yes.
Intermediary, somebody who could stand in the gaps for us, a part of a team, because honestly, what you're assembling when you go semi-custom or any type of custom situation is you're assembling a team, right? And you need to be able to communicate through all the channels of this team: the sales rep, the realtor, the building manager, so forth and so on, whoever you have access to. So as far as getting a realtor, like she was alluding to, you need to be clear with your realtor what your expectations are, and you need to make sure you're clear of what they're willing to do for you. Now, and then hold them accountable, because at the end of the day, they're going to walk away with their check, and they're going to get paid for doing what they're doing, and you want to make sure that you get the service that at least they said that they would provide for you. Now, this could come in different shapes and forms, right? That's why a clear understanding is necessary, because, again, at the end of the day, you don't want to walk away feeling like, hey, this person said this and they delivered substandard or mediocre. And hopefully for you, you could get, above standard.
Yes.
But, sometimes it doesn't work out like that. So another thing is, never feel like you're just stuck unless you get into some type of contract with your realtor, right? If you feel like, look, this is not necessary and you need to move away from that situation, I would say go ahead and do it, because for us, at the end of the day, it really wasn't necessary.
No,
we really didn't need an. In the beginning, it was a peace of mind thing, but the peace of mind thing turned into a headache, and it was more or less like, hey, what purpose do you serve outside of just being in our process?
So with the realtor, it's important to also note that when you do a semi-custom home build and you're building with a builder, you don't pay the realtor commission, right, which a lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
The actual builder is the one that pays the realtor the commission. Right. So honestly, you're not coming out the money paying the commission, right, but it still doesn't change that fact of the importance of customer service. So for us, the peace of mind came from the idea of, we are in California, we're building in Texas, we're 2,000 miles away from our home, and we can't be there for every single thing that is happening on our home. So we needed someone that was going to be there to give us weekly reports. Now, granted, the sales agent, that's their responsibility. They're supposed to do that. But if there's any issues or anything, the idea for us was that we had the extra set of eyes to be able to manage. And so, unfortunately for us, it started off well, but in the end, that was not what happened for us. So, do we feel a realtor for us was necessary? No, because
I think your sales rep is really there to provide the customer service for the product. Now, for us, the realtor was there to make sure that we had the buffer, the go-between on the ground between ourselves and the sales rep. And in the beginning, it was kind of necessary because our sales rep really didn't know, didn't have
what was going on.
Yeah, she didn't have a vast pool of knowledge. She just wasn't. I think she was in over her head, and as a result, she wound up being let go. So obviously, for us, it was a little bit different in the beginning. But then you also want to make sure you don't get into this conflict of interest thing, because a realtor is in this position to speak on your behalf.
Well, speak on your behalf and to make sure that what it is that you're expecting to have happen with your home was executed.
Right. But they're also going to be looking, because they're in the business of selling homes, they're also going to be looking to acquire more customers, right? So they're going to be trying to build a relationship based on your purchase so that they can bring other customers in. And there's nothing really wrong with that, as long as they make sure that they keep you as their current customer, at the top or on the priority list somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, like I said, it's up to your discretion on what you're comfortable with and what you feel is best. Right. For us, now that everything is said and done,
right.
You know what? I will change that. A realtor would be beneficial, especially if you're building in a different state and you cannot be there. You don't have family that can make sure that everything that you want is being done, or you don't have that second pair of eyes that can be there all the time, because quite frankly, the sales agent can't be there all the time because they're busy selling community. The community. Yes. Right. So they have a lot on their plate. Yeah. So yes, realtor would be beneficial. However, make sure that when you are picking your realtor, that you get a good one. That's all I'm gonna say.
And pay attention to the red flags as well, because oftentimes we get into situations, when I say we, I'm just speaking generally, where there are red flags, there are signals, but because of I don't want to say comfort, but convenience, we allow those red flags to be something that we put off addressing, right? To the point to where it could cause you a headache in the long run, to say the least.
Yes. So I mean, so for us, it's our experience started off okay, but in the end, did not end well. And so it definitely was a learning experience for us. And so that's that with the realtor. Moving along, because I can go all evening about the realtor situation. So going back to understanding all of your options, regrets for us, we mentioned the high ceilings. We probably would have elected to upgrade to have the full ceiling to floor, floor to ceiling, however you want to say it, windows in our family room, the bathroom. Also, our powder bath, we probably would have chosen to have. No,
we definitely would have chosen to
have that to be a full bath as opposed to just the powder bathroom. Yeah. Wine fridge. So.
But wait a minute, before you say that, the only reason why this is an issue is because we didn't know it was an option. So this goes back to the first part, where knowing all your options, because.
Yes. Yeah. So.
She really wanted this wine.
So listen, granted, maybe perhaps it's our fault because we didn't ask and inquire, but there are other homes in our community where in the butler's pantry, they had a slot slated, cut out, removed a cabinet to have a wine fridge with an outlet the whole night to plug the wine fridge in. And so when we saw that, we were like, I was like,
yeah, when she saw
wait a minute, I could have got a wine fridge, cut out the option for a wine fridge.
Cognac cabinet dealing with me.
Well, I like the idea, and I just love the look of being able to have
cabinet.
the look to be able to have a wine fridge. So. Or the option to be able to have a wine fridge.
It would have been nice to have a dedicated space.
Definitely been nice to have
for liquor and things like that.
Yes.
So just knowing your options.
So we found that out after the fact. Yes, we could have gotten a wine fridge. So that's another option. Right. Regret.
All right. Something that's more structural is what
your communications panel.
Yes.
So when you are building a home.
Right.
It's important to understand and know, and we didn't pay attention to where our communication panel will be located.
Right. So let me jump in here.
Yes.
So understanding where you want to locate your communications panel is necessary. Mm-hmm. You don't want to put it in a space where you got to give the internet people different accesses to different points in your home, just because if you can locate it in a place where it's centralized with all of the other electrical panels, then that'll be best. So we got our communications panel put in a certain area that wasn't the most desirable area after we chose to after it was put in. And then when we thought about it, we actually had a conversation, I believe, prior with someone that let us tour their home about moving it in a location that was more feasible for having this wiring ran. And actually it would have been a lot less work for the builder, and it wouldn't have been such a headache, and we could have utilized a location that we have our panel in a lot better than we can now.
So like, for example, some of the popular places that control panels are inserted are like in your primary bedroom, maybe if you have like a guest bedroom downstairs. Yeah. But we could have had our control panel put in the storage closet under the stairs. There's just other options.
Storage closet under the stairs. We could have had it put into the garage right next to the other electrical panels and everything like that. So, it's just a situation to where knowing and understanding what you want to get out of the location of certain things, and just being able to just think about how these the locations of certain items are going to affect you in the future.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by
our children
that are that we're recording. Get back. Thank you. Today has been a fun-filled day. Our daughter graduated from 6th grade today. So anyways, so yes. So the communications panel location. Make sure you understand where your panel will be located, and make sure you're okay with where they are planning to have it located. So that's another thing. Outlets and floor plugs. So for us, for the most part, we have tons of outlets in the home. Yep. So that's not really a regret. However, now that we are in the process of turning our house into a home and adding furniture and adding pieces, and especially things that plug up, we're like, for example, in the game room, or in California they call it a loft, but in Texas they have game rooms. So now that we have started, getting games and things like that, it would have been nice to have additional floor plugs. That's something we didn't think about.
And our game room came standard with, I think, 2 floor plugs, but they were located in one area of the game room, and so the other area where we're going to place some of our games that we currently have, there's just wall plugs. So it doesn't give you that seamless look. In certain situations you can hide the cords and different things like that. But remember, they cannot put floor plugs in your foundation after they pour the foundation.
No.
So if you want anything on the first level, you got to get that in before or during red line, because once they pour the foundation and have those different floor plugs, or if they don't have the floor plugs set, they're not going to dig up your your foundation to set a floor plug. So
yes, so that's one. Also, for example, in the media room. So if you decide to have theater seats, that's another area where it would be important to have floor plugs placed in certain locations in your media room, because therefore you'd be able to plug in those seats. So those are just some areas that we didn't even think about.
Right. Because you can hide your floor plugs with your seats plugged straight into the floor, and it'll be more seamless. For us, we'll have to be creative, a little bit creative with how we route the plugs. We have a solution that we were made aware of by the actual deliverer of our seats that we have, and you'll see that on one of the shorts or whatever that's coming up. But if we could have avoided that, trying to be creative and everything, if we would have had a couple of floor plugs put, especially in our media room.
Yes. Next, we have noted to clarify and understand what paint will be used in your home.
This is a big one.
Yes.
So different builders have different standards when it comes to paint. Some builders utilize, what did you call it? Flat? Yeah.
Flat or matte.
Some builders use a flat paint. Some builders use a semi-gloss, and you can option for a gloss paint if your builder offers it. However, for our situation, the builder used a flat paint. So most of you guys, or if you have children, and you know that it's going to be kind of hard to maintain handprints and all of that stuff with the flat paint. You cannot wipe it clean because you will smear that flat paint, and basically what it'll become is a large stain on your wall. So on our previous home, we dealt with this a little bit in certain areas, primarily in our loft area. However, coming from there to Dallas, to just different build, I don't remember even thinking about that when we.
No, we didn't.
I remember our walls in our previous home in the loft. I remember doing some spot painting and stuff like that to clear up the smudges.
Yeah, and I guess it's a learning. It's a learning experience for us, because we just assumed that, especially in what areas like the kitchen, bathrooms, that they would use like a semi-gloss or a satin paint, and that's not the case. They use the matte paint throughout the house. So now that we are in the process of moving in, we're gonna have to fix that, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to paint. Yeah. So now we're in the process of doing that, having our walls repainted before we officially, kind of get everything in there, so that we don't have an issue of stains on our walls. So we think, I should say, it's important to clarify and understand what paint is going to be used in your home. And then if you need to do a semi-gloss or a satin, if that's an option to upgrade.
Right.
Okay. So that's some of the things we have. What other regrets do we have? There's definitely some areas we probably would have expanded. I would say the bedroom, we would have expanded the bedroom.
There was a regret that we didn't. So there was a space where we definitely could have expanded in our room, and it just would have. It wouldn't even have been. It just would have made the space about 2 feet wider or longer, I should say, and it really wouldn't have been a major undertaking for them to do. It would have been a natural look. It wouldn't have been noticeable that we did it from the outside of the home, but inside the house, inside the room, we would have just had an extra 2 feet of space inside the room area, and so that was one thing that we definitely could have taken advantage of. Expanding the home in general,
we could have
hallways. We were made aware, again, by somebody that allowed us to tour their home, that we could expand hallways and different things like that. So we really didn't choose to do some of those things because it kind of was like unnecessary cost for them to do it, because we didn't really feel a need. But again, now that everything's finished, when you're walking through your house and you're like, what? Now I see why we talked to, you know, the person who let us walk through their home, and he made a suggestion that we might want to do this or might want to do that. It's actually because he's living and experience where we're experiencing now. So making sure that you have somebody that can talk to you from a buyer's standpoint is a good idea too.
Yeah, and to just piggyback on what the expanding like hallways and things, something that you probably don't consider, but if you ever have someone that is wheelchair bound,
right?
You know, handicapped, needs wider doorways and to widen and expand the hallways in order to be able to accommodate a wheelchair is important. I mean, those are structural things. So once your home is built, it will be difficult to make those changes.
Even one of the walker things.
Yeah, you know or walkers. So you want to make sure your hallways, entry points, entryways, things like that are large to accommodate those things. What other regrets do we have?
Just I'll say one regret for me that kind of sticks out is just understanding, and if you don't have an understanding, the measurements, right? Because if you understand, and I made mention of this in the last in the empty house tour, you can check that out. But understanding your measurements is a key factor in getting the most out of the space. Like if we had, during our red line meeting, we had the opportunity to sit with the building manager and express some different things that we wanted to do. Like for instance, in one of the upstairs rooms, we changed the orientation of a door, or the location, I should say, of the door from inside the sink area to inside the actual room area. So being able to do little different things like that and understanding measurements, how the measurements break out. So if they say your room is 25 square feet and you might want it to be 30 square feet, or you might want to take some square footage from that room to expand another area, for instance, in the primary suite's closet, then, you know, you can ask, what can you do? Like, how can you move things around? What options do you have in the way of customizing the build to fit what you really want to get out of the space? And sometimes they can eliminate, like we had an option to eliminate one of the rooms upstairs and add a total second primary suite.
Yeah.
Or what's that?
Like ensuite.
Ensuite is what they call it. So we had the opportunity to do that. So knowing that you had the opportunity to do different things like that, and understanding what each space, you know, how each space will break down. Like for instance, again, our media room and our game room. Well, we could have taken about 1.5 feet from the game room, which is fairly large, and expanded our media room, gave it a grander feel, and being able to have the location of the seats fall a little bit better than the way they fit now.
Yes.
Right? So,
and then also too, and I have a clear understanding of when you talk about the measurements and understanding space-wise, storage-wise.
Yes.
So clearly understanding how large your closets will be, or access storage, coat closets, things like that are important to your pantry, your walk-in pantry. Really clearly understanding how large those spaces will be. I think that there were definitely opportunities for us to where we could have taken from one space to expand another, just kind of piggybacking on what you were saying. So things like that are important to note and understand.
We could have shifted our kitchen over a foot or so and got a larger pantry, a larger butler's pantry. We would have been able to fit a larger size refrigerator, right? Because our nook area, we have plenty of space right there. So we could have taken about a foot or so from the nook area, shifted everything down, and you know it would have worked in our favor, kind of, if we chose to do that. Now we didn't. The space is nice. It still has this grand open feel, but you know what is the downside to that? Well, we didn't get the extra large or the larger size pantry because we didn't think about it, you know.
And another thing too, speaking of pantry and going back to outlets, you might want to consider having outlets placed in your pantry, because nowadays it's not uncommon for people to not want to have appliances plugged up on their countertops. And having a pantry and having the capabilities to be able to plug in your appliances in pantry might be important to you. So think about that as well. You might want to. We don't have outlets inside of our pantry, but that probably would have been a good option for us. So that's something to think about. Also thinking about, for instance, if you don't have a large utility or laundry room, when, as far as when it comes to plugging in vacuums and things like that, especially cordless vacuums, like where do you want to have those located? So thinking about spaces, like if you want them in a closet, you might need to add an additional outlet to be able to accommodate those. So just things like that. But I think in the end, overall, the one thing that did help us would be to do your research. So for us, we really, really, really did utilize watching YouTube videos
like this one.
Yes, of other people with their regret videos or their suggestions, or just looking at empty house tours. You can never look at them too much, because I mean, even now, we still look at them and we come across things like, man, and I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because it makes you think like, gosh, I really wish I would have done.
Well, there's always a way to do something better.
Yeah.
So, that kind of goes without saying, but, you still have those points of reference, right? You still have, like she's saying, these reference points, empty house tours, other people's experiences that you can kind of learn from before you get started on yours. So, those are different things that you kind of want to utilize to your advantage, right? And
yes.
So go check out our empty house tour.
Yes. So hopefully this regrets video has been helpful. Hopefully it's been informative. Again, make sure that you do your research. Make sure you really do a list of options, things. Tour other homes. So if you're going through a builder, make sure you tour other communities, because
they might offer something that you want.
So there's other communities that our builder is building in, but because it's in a different city, they have other options, different options than what we have. Their homes are built differently. Right. So you may get ideas by walking the model homes for those communities and be able to go back and be like, hey, I noticed in this community where you're building, they have these options in their model homes. Can we have that here? You never know. Variations, exactly. So you never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. Right. So make sure you tour those model homes. Make sure you watch videos, do your research online, Pinterest, things like that, to just kind of make sure you don't have a list of regrets. Make sure you're able to
or
really
at least minimize your list.
Minimize it. So make sure you're able to have build your home in the manner in which you would like it to be.
Right.
Okay.
So is that it?
So I think that is it as far as our regrets.
I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, we did pretty good. I mean, there's overall, we're pleased and happy with
you know what? This is a key thing, though. This is a key thing, and I don't want to miss this one. Make sure you understand what your elevation will look like before you don't go to red line.
Oh, yeah, that's
because I think when we chose our elevation, it wound up being a blessing for us. We got a longer driveway than we expected. And different things like that. But they show you a picture of your elevation, right? And they really didn't show us measurement-wise. Now, when we looked at our blueprints, the elevation just looked like the picture that they showed us, right? But knowing your lot and knowing how it's going to break down on your lot, knowing the setback standards in your neighborhood or in your city or state or whatever is key, because once they pour and give you your elevation, that's what you're stuck with. Now, the elevation is basically how your house will sit on your lot. The different features in the front, the different type of front facial stones or brick layouts that you have. And we actually chose certain options, and it was like, hey, we don't want this stone here, whatever. So you can customize your elevation, the look, but the layout is pretty much what they give you within that elevation. But you could also customize that too.
Yes, and also since we're talking about elevations, make sure that you have an understanding of what your city requirements are. Right. For our particular community, for us, depending on the model of the home, you can't have two of the same models next to each other.
Oh yeah.
So for us, we started our process before our neighbor, and our neighbor had actually originally picked our same model. Yeah. And when it was time for the city to approve everything, the city didn't approve it because they said you can't have two models next to each other. Yeah. So they had to actually pick a different model. Yeah. So you want to make sure you understand what your city requirements are in regards to the model that you pick or the elevation that you pick. You want to make sure that it'll be okay and you won't have any issues when it comes down to the city's
They went all the way to red line, all the way to the city, and
for permits and things.
And then they pretty much had laid out their whole house, right? And then was told that they couldn't have that house. Yes. So you want to avoid that because if it serves me correctly, that probably pushed them back at least 3-4 months, maybe even longer than that. And so
yeah, so that's definitely something you want to pay attention to.
Yeah. So, and also some of the things that we talked about can be what was going over in some of the other videos, like picking your lot, different things like your setback and different things of that nature. So throughout our videos, you can find some of these ideas or these what am I trying to say? Some of these things that you want to think about, basically. Yes.
So that is important.
Yeah.
Okay. So other than that, I think that is it for our regrets video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you've experienced building a semi-custom home and what are some things that we may not have mentioned that would be worth mentioning. We'd love to hear some things that maybe you discovered are regrets on your list that you wish you would have thought about or come across or changed in building your home or even your existing home, things that you wish were different. So don't forget to comment on those things. Let us know.
I mean, because this is a community thing right here. I mean, anybody who's in the community of building a new home or started the process or thinking about starting the process, we kind of wanted this channel to be also informative, right? So some of the things that we didn't touch on inside of this channel's community, if it's something that you dealt with, go ahead and drop it in the comments so that other people can benefit, from your knowledge, because that's something that we definitely want to push, with this experience here.
Yes.
So,
So that concludes our video. Yeah, that's it. So again, thank you for tuning in and following us along on our journey. We want to thank you also for all of the congratulations and well wishes that we received from our empty house tour. Don't forget to check it out. I think
our kids want to say something, so come on, we let them say something because he's been coughing in the background and she been putting up. Get the sign. Let's see the sign that she been made.
Navy erase the sign.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He erased it.
New sign.
No, we don't need to put that on there.
So, come on, these are our children.
Yes.
If you've seen them in a couple of episodes, what y'all want to say?
What do you want to say?
If you could have picked something in the house, what would you have picked?
For what?
For your space.
Look up at the camera.
Yeah. I will pick the living room.
What?
Like the downstairs where the TV's gonna be.
Okay.
Because that's where we're gonna have the most time where we can spend together.
So you think about the family room?
What would you change?
What would you change in it?
The windows.
Look up there.
Cause out the windows. Cause when we was watching, if we watch a movie at nighttime, people will be looking out our window and be like, ooh, we stalkers.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now that's enough. Okay.
Not to interrupt, but that's what we have the movie room for.
Yes, yes. So what would you suggest?
For, like, if we were to change
If you were to change something about the house, what would you...
No,
let your sister talk. What would you change? Or what do you wish?
Like to change?
Yeah.
I would probably ask for like my closet to be like a little bit more pushed back because like Navy's is kind of like more square.
Okay.
And mine's more like a rectangle.
Right.
Yes.
And we definitely could have done that.
Yes.
I would have wanted mine to be like pushed a little bit more like the side wall, like when you walk in, like a little bit more out.
So we could have definitely expanded the particular space that she's talking about. So yeah, get input from your kids.
I want more.
What's your other one?
No, the other one is basically what those shit put in where you guys should have when you know that cart like that stuff at the bottom of the stairs. You should put some of like our vacuum cleaners and like our cleaning stuff down there. No, you should have closed that down.
What are you talking about?
You're talking about in the washroom where you had all your toys and stuff.
No, I'm talking about the inside the stairs.
Oh, the closet down there.
Yeah, you should.
I would also like the.
You're talking about the extra closet under the stairs.
Oh, you mean like making a station for all your things?
Yeah, but we should have put like shelves in there.
Oh, okay.
I also would have.
we could have done that.
I also would have preferred the electric panel to be in there because it makes more sense.
Okay, that's a good suggestion as well.
Instead of it being inside your closet, because that's taking away from all your stuff.
Yeah. So,
Trust
in any
me.
case, thank you again
And
for
also
tuning in.
the downstairs under the stairs, you should have put some of more of your clothes because you have too much clothes.
Okay. Alrighty then. Again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Okay.
And don't forget to comment, and we'll see you next time. Bye.